All right, welcome everyone to the May 21st meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority. Let's have roll call, please.
Housing Authority members Ajinian,
Here.
Asaterian,
Here.
Brotman, Farpetian,
Here.
Najarian,
Here.
Parazian,
Here.
Chair Kasakian.
Here, thank you, and may we have your report.
Yes, the agenda for the May 21st, 2024 regular meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority was posted on May 16th, 2024 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Great, thank you. The next item on the agenda is approval of minutes for the meeting of May 7th, 2024.
I'll move the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Authority Member Asatrian and seconded by Parazian. May we have roll call, please?
Authority members Ajinian,
Yes.
Asaterian,
Yes.
Brotman, Farpetian,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Parazian,
Yes.
Chair Kasakian.
Thank you, and let the record reflect that Authority Member Brotman has joined us in chambers. Next item is oral communications. Are there any cards or calls?
We do not have any cards or callers.
Okay, with nothing on the business agenda for this Housing Authority meeting, are there any authority member or staff comments? Okay, yes.
No staff comment.
No staff comments? All right, well, before we proceed, I'd like to make a few comments. I know that we have now reduced the number of Housing Authority meetings that we have from weekly to having them once a month. I think that we've had a few issues to come up at the Housing Authority, and at a time when we are facing housing shortages, housing crisis. It's in the news every day. In fact, there was just an article in the LA Times just a few days ago about this. I think it's important that we at least have some information provided to this body and its members and those who will be following it on issues pertaining to housing, starting from the city. So I'd like to ask my colleagues if they would support the idea of having regular reports from staff on items such as, and I just came up with a few, and I'm open to suggestions from anyone who wishes to make them at this meeting or in the future, but a request to have a presentation on the implementation of ADUs in Glendale. I'd like to know and have a survey of how many of them are being rented out to people who perhaps are not related to the individuals who built the ADUs, because the ADUs were supposed to be this kind of Band-Aid for the housing crisis that we have. We certainly have had a lot of ADU applications. I'm sure it would be important, and we've covered some of this during other presentations, but I think it warrants to have these discussions at the Housing Authority. Perhaps a report on the status of short-term rentals. We know that the city has very strict guidelines that prevent homes from being rented out for short-term rentals. I don't want to specifically name companies' names per se, but despite our restrictions on that, we receive reports from neighborhoods that there are still individuals and properties that are violating these ordinances. And generally, just status reports on housing projects in the city that have been already approved. We have a number of affordable housing projects. I think it would be a good idea to have updates on those, where they stand, what is coming down the pipeline, as well as what our neighboring cities are doing now that we have this Tri-City fund that was allocated from the state. We heard last week that Burbank is already using some of the funds for affordable housing projects. So those are some of the suggestions I have. If any of my colleagues have suggestions or ideas, or if they would second, one of my colleagues would second that idea, I'd appreciate it.
Sure, and I would just say some of the topics we might want to have in the evening if they're really of general interest. More people are going to be paying attention, and the other thing I'd say is maybe if staff has a list of things maybe scheduled out over the course of the year to share it with us, because we might have other suggestions of things to add.
I think for some of the items, Authority Member Brotman, thank you. It is good to have those evening discussions. The only problem and concern I have is that during the evening we have folks who come here on other items as well, and I want these to be akin to a study session where we can do some deeper dive, we can have some longer presentations, and perhaps go the full hour to hear answers to our questions. I know there's a lot of questions that always come up. Some of them we've heard about before, but with the makeup of a new council and with viewers that tune in and tune out of local government, it bears perhaps repeating to find out, okay, well, how does Section 8 work? How do voucher transfers work? How do the different housing, affordable housing programs work? Because I get asked those questions all the times, and I'm certainly not an expert, but if we have those on the record, we can direct people to it yearly. Yes.
I
Vice Chair
understand
Junior.
that the downsizing of these meetings are imminent, but I think reports are contrary, very on the positive side. We need those reports as much as possible.
All right. Sure. Yes, yes, Member Garpetian.
Yeah, just a point of clarification. So reports on affordable housing, the way that Section 8 process, works, or ADUs and how many of them, because ADUs, I don't know, we'll let staff take care of that because people don't have to disclose who they lease the properties to. But in general, would you like to have those reports in an open meeting, like for housing authority meetings, and bring it to the
Yeah. Yes, I would.
authority?
My preference would be for these conversations to happen openly, so people have access to that information. They can view it. They can participate if they choose to. As far as the ADU discussion, sure, people don't have to necessarily disclose who they're renting it to, but we can find out perhaps whether our processes have helped them, have made it easier or more difficult for the construction, and what their necessarily future plans are. Does a person who built an ADU wish to build another one or an additional one? Obviously, people are not limited with just having one on their property anymore. So those types of, I think, issues do warrant a better understanding from everyone here. So when we make policies about housing moving forward, we get a full picture as to what's happening in our city.
Okay, thank you.
There are no other comments. And again, please feel free to either email me or staff with your suggestions on these items. I welcome them. A couple of years ago, also a number of years ago when I was Housing Authority Chair, one of the things that we did was a housing summit to kind of bring different academics and individuals and counterparts from neighboring cities to find out what each of us were doing, something I'd like us to eventually do before the year is up. So with that, since there is no new business, is there a motion to, I'm sorry.
Chair Kasakian, there seems to be a phone call coming in. Would you like to?
Sure, we
Take
can
that call.
entertain it. Go ahead. Okay. Hello?
Yes, good afternoon, Chair Kazakin. This is Fernando Roldan from Glendale. One of the things I'd like to ask the mayor and the city council to do, when having new grants or so, this is something that I told many times the program director and also Ms. Paula Devine before she retired, is that I'd like to make sure that we don't forget about us persons with disabilities or seniors who need more accessible apartments and all stuff. Especially some of us who are working class people, in other words, middle class, because sometimes, being in a wheelchair and some of us who are working can't always afford what we need. So I do ask strongly that when you get this new sources of revenue, please don't forget about us, people with disabilities and seniors. Thank you for your time.
Right. Thank you very much. Appreciate the call, and certainly yet another topic we could look into in terms of housing for the disabled in Glendale. With that, if there's no other issues or anything anyone would like to bring up, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay, moved by Authority Member Asatryan
Second.
and seconded by Authority Member Garpetian. We stand adjourned at 1:10 p.m. Thank you very much.